Let's talk about lymph, shall we? If you are struggling with hormonal imbalances, metabolic function, and or shedding weight, we really need to talk about lymph and how to drain it from your body. It's important to understand because lymph circulation or lack thereof plays a really big role in the metabolism of fats and carbohydrates. And it can also cause tissue swelling, poor skin tone, make us look like we're aging quicker than we are, can contribute to excess weight, cellulite, headaches, joint pain, fatigue, and even a weaker immune function. So, the lymphatic system plays a really crucial role in eliminating toxins. You may have heard about this before. It's a system that removes our metabolic waste and debris from our body. It happens through a transportation network that carries waste and excess fluids and immune cells throughout our body. So when it becomes congested or sluggish, it can lead to various health conditions and problems and a compromised immune response. And that's why I think it's really important for us to talk about today. And I would love to share with you some techniques of how to actually deal and drain with your own lymph. But first, I think it's important for us to understand, like, what is lymph? So it's really just debris from our internal cells, and it's mostly contained of water, but it's a collection of this extra fluid that drains from the cells and the tissues in your body that isn't reabsorbed. So what happens is it gets clogged or stagnant. So how do we know if it's clogged? Well, there's a couple of factors that you may realize or that may be a symptom. It can lead to like swelling or tightness in your lymph nodes, and we'll go over that in a moment with some of the exercises or ways to drain lymph. But you could feel like a congestion, tightness, or swelling in these areas, or you may notice swelling in your hands or your feet. And also swelling in our head can equate to feeling of headaches or migraines. So those are some telltale signs. And then how do you know if your lymph is kind of sluggish? Well, you could just have an overall kind of tired, achy, kind of like heavy kind of feeling, like this weightedness to you. You can have difficulty moving or restricted range of motions. You could feel fatigued, down, or even depressed. You also can have skin problems, issues, or constant irritations, or infections, or like this kind of hardened, thickened kind of skin in specific areas. You may also see fluid leaking from your skin. This is really extreme stagnation of lymph. So the question then becomes, what do we do? How do we drain this lymph, these little collection sites of these waste and debris? Well, what's required for us to drain lymph is there is no actual circulatory pump. We need to physically move in order to drain lymph. So we need manual movement. We need to move our muscles in order to do that. Of course, a lifestyle and diet, I combine those two words together there, lifestyle and diet changes can really help us minimize the excess toxins that we have from cellular waste. So I do have there is a DIY cleanse that you can use to help you with this. It's something I've created. It's called the Pure Complete Cleanse. I'll link it down below. And also water. Drinking adequate amount of water to flush out the debris is also going to be important. But the main thing is that we need to move our body. So when we do this, when we drain our lymph, you're going to first of all decrease your overall toxic burden internally because you're flushing out, getting rid of all of those little garbage collection sites. And that will help increase energy. It's going to help increase blood flow to those areas, to tissues, and then actually helps the nerves respond better to tissues. So an overall better sense of feeling well and feeling energized. And also because we're getting rid of toxins, we can have clearer thoughts, clearer thinking, clearer skin, etc. So it's quite common if you haven't worked on draining your lymph before. Let me rephrase that. It's not that it's common. It can be a symptom of draining lymph is you may feel a little bit of detox symptoms. And the reason for that is that the debris is being kind of filtered out and moved and shaken out of their kind of storage sites in all these lymph nodes and these lymph areas. So once the toxins and waste are freed from those areas, the toxins need to leave your body somehow, either through your urine or from your poop or from your sweat. So until that actually happens, you'll have potentially some waste circulating in your system, in your bloodstream. So that may contribute to the detox symptoms, which are feeling fatigued, headachy, achy, just like you want to sleep, sometimes almost even flu-like. So please don't panic if you're feeling this way. Do not panic. This is absolutely normal. And until you flush things out, you will end up, you could feel worse before you actually feel better. So when you do any kind of lymph drainage, it's really important to drink adequate amount of water to flush out all of the waste. So what are the ways that we can manually help stimulate our lymph drainage? And that's the key thing. It requires stimulation, movement in some capacity. So I'd like to list a couple off here. I'm going to show you one exercise or one method today using some manual exercise, but I'll list off a couple of others because there are a number of ways that you can do it, and in multitude of ways. It doesn't have to be just one way. So one of the best ways that you can promote stimulation to all cells beyond lymph is by rebounding. So a mini trampoline, just bouncing up and down. If you don't have a mini rebounder, don't fret. You don't have to go out and buy one. You certainly can. They're not very expensive and available on many online sites. I don't want to mention any names, but you know where to find them. If you press up onto the balls of your feet where your heels are raised from the floor and lower your heels down, and it doesn't have to be like a huge impact, but just kind of like that mini kind of bouncing. In the Qigong practice, there's an exercise, you can Google it, it's called riding the horse. So you're just kind of lifting up onto the balls of your feet and dropping down onto your heels in just repetitive motion. So that is stimulating those calf raises, that is stimulating the fluid that is down in your lower extremities to push up. So our main central lymph sewer is here in our clavicle area. This is where kind of if you think about it as a sewer, that the drain pipe from your house that's going to the main sewer, that's really the main one. So all of the other lymph is actually draining to this main one. So anything that's the furthest away from our clavicle, any extremities that are furthest from our clavicle, are kind of the low points, and where we see the kind of the backup of the sewer. So that becomes our hands and our feet and our head. So doing these calf raises is really helpful, and same with the rebounding. That was a long way around for me to tell you about riding the horse in terms of the Qigong and or the calf raises and trampoline or rebounding. The other one is deep belly breathing. So by moving and contracting and expanding the diaphragm, we're going to be helping move some lymph, particularly in our abdomen, in the stomach area. You may have heard of dry skin brushing. So using a brush, starting at your extremities and working up towards your heart. You can even work towards your clavicles, massaging all of these areas, which we'll go over in a minute. But dry skin brushing is a really great way to stimulate movement of lymph. You can also use a vibe plate. So these are plates that you stand on and they vibrate. Locally, there is a beautiful local facility in my area in Niagara which I'll link up here below, where you can go. If you don't have a vibe plate, you can pay for sessions and just go and stand on the vibe plate. You can do exercises on the vibe plate. That's really going to help. Again, there are free things that you can do from your home, and we'll go over that in this video here. So another way is cold water immersion. So you may have heard of cold plunging. So certainly that's an option. What I really like to do is put my face in an ice cold bath. So I just fill up a bowl, or you can fill up a pot with ice cold water and put in ice and let that ice kind of melt and get really cold to put it on your face. I know that that's not the only area that that lymph accumulates, obviously, but it really helps reduce swelling and puffiness in our face, and it feels amazing. So it helps tighten up the skin as well. So that's probably an enhancement. It's not just the only area that we need to train, but that is certainly something to consider. On the topic of cold water submersion is also contrast showers. Using hot and vacillating between hot and cold temperatures in your shower is going to stimulate like a pumping kind of motion of your circulatory system of your blood. So that is another way. One of the key things is to ensure that you're adequately hydrated. Drink 2.5 to 3 liters of water a day, depending on your body weight, if not more, or maybe even if you're exercising, but making sure you're getting water to flush out all of the toxins is really important. Another thing that I like to do regarding the face is the gua sha stone. So one of the lymph drainage points are in our neck behind our ear. So when we do the gua sha stone, we're getting up, we're taking all of the excess fluids in our face and directing it to the neck region to drain the lymph. So there are a series of exercises that I'd like to share with you here, and they were developed, they're called the Big Six by Perry Nickelston. You can Google this, you can look it up on YouTube. This is his modality, and he's very well versed in lymph drainage. So we're going to go over these 6 key areas and the method in which you can do manual stimulation yourself. I've been using this, I find it really helpful. And it doesn't take a lot of time. You can just do it once a day. It can do it at any time of the day, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. It doesn't really matter. The key is to stimulate all of these areas. The key in which he says is not just the areas to stimulate, but the order in which you do it. So this is really important. We'll go through it when we walk through the exercises if you want to come along with me, but you always start with the clavicle area because that is the main drainage pipe. So if you have a clog in your own sink or in your own pipes in your house and you're trying to flush it out, but the main at the road is blocked, no matter how much you flush out your internal pipes, it's just going to back up. So that's really the main concept here, is to drain the clavicle first and stimulate this area first, and then all other areas go to the clavicle. So I hope this is helpful, and I really encourage you to give all of these a try to see if this helps you, one, feel better, look better, have your body function more optimally. And particularly if you are struggling with hormone imbalances. I know this seems totally unrelated, but our body operates as an ecosystem. Everything is united and connected together. So for hormone issues, metabolic function, and or stubborn weight, this is something to consider, as well as all aspects of overall health. So I'll walk you through these next 6 exercises in just a moment. All right, here we go with the 6 points to work on to reduce and remove lymph. So we're going to start with the clavicle, and the idea is to manually stimulate. You can do this in any way that you want, but according to Perry Nickelston, this is his methodology, is he rubs first, and it starts with the clavicle. So the intention, as I was mentioning, is always the order, not so much in the method of the stimulation. So he starts with rubbing below the clavicle area, that's your collarbone, rubbing in any direction, and then also above that collarbone. So he does like 5 to 10 times, I believe. And then the tapping. So rub and then tap 5 to 10 times, and then in circular motions after. So you can go clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever feels most comfortable to you. The next area is at the neck, behind the ears. So I like to take 2 fingers and one behind my ear and the other in front and just rub. So I think he does it actually behind the ear. You could do it that way too, in case I'm doing it wrong. Please go back and watch this video. So rubbing and then tapping, you can just tap gently down the side of the neck. This is an area which lymph drains, and this is why the gua sha, when you use a gua sha stone, why we work with the gua sha stone to come down into this area, and it drains to the clavicle. And then rubbing in either direction, in and around the entire area. So you can come all the way down the neck if you like to. And then the next area is the armpit. So where the pec and the shoulder come together. So just rubbing in this area, you can lift your arm to do that or not. So rubbing and then tapping. And then circular motions with the palm of your hand. So you can even get into underneath the armpit, underneath that chicken wing. So it doesn't have to be, it's then switching sides. It doesn't have to be anything, like it doesn't have to be a long process. It can just be a couple of minutes every day. This is very stimulating. So we'll do this side and then the circular motions. And the next area, we'll just position this so you can see it. I don't know if you can see this here, is our belly. So what he does is he puts his hand on one hand on his belly button, one hand over top. And this is where you start the rubbing motion. So it can go, I like to go side to side. I also personally like to go up and down to kind of facilitate that, that motion of the riding the horse. And then we can tap here all along the abdomen. This is where a lot of stagnation, particularly for me, tends to accumulate. And then the rubbing. So you can stack both hands, one on the other. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough room for you to see this. The next is at the groin where your hip crease comes together. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to position it. Hip groin here, where the crease of your legs are when you sit down. So again, just rubbing here, delicate area. So, you know, be gentle with yourself. And then we'll tap and circular motions in both ways. The last place is behind the knee. So you can do this one at a time or when you're seated, but just getting both knees. First of all, rubbing above and below the knee crease, and then tapping when you're ready, and the circular motions. So that wasn't a very long process. You need to do both knees. I'm just cutting this short because of this video. The key is manual stimulation. So I hope this helps. I would love to hear if you try it and what happens and what you notice and how you feel afterwards. If you've gone along with me doing this, maybe you already feel a little bit better or a little bit lighter or a little bit more free moving and also more tuned into your body and into those areas. So I hope you find this helpful. Please stick around for more videos, subscribe, stick around, share if you like, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.